So in the past, if you wanted a genuine Shimano bait finesse rod, you had to look to Shimano Japan, because they're the only ones who have the official bait finesse rods, and unfortunately they were quite expensive. You know, you're looking at a minimum of $300 to get one over here from Japan. But that's all changed with the introduction of the Shimano Sensilite bait casting rod. Okay guys, so check out this Sensilite rod. It's a good looking rod. It's got this short cork handle. It's got some really high quality EVA foam. This EVA, at least right now, it feels like suede. It's nice and dense. Now just the specs on this rod, it's a long 7 foot long. They call it a light power. It's got a lure rating of 1/16 of an ounce to 1/4 of an ounce. And they say it has an extra fast action. Now it's got 9 guides, including the tip. And those are aluminum oxide, and they get to be micro guides as you get towards the tip. And they say the blank is a 24-ton blend. So when they say blend, I don't know if that's a blend of graphite or a blend of graphite and fiberglass. So I'm thinking it feels to me like a blend of graphite and fiberglass. Now the great thing about this rod, it's only $60, and I got this for $50. So if you go online and do your research, I'm not going to name the place, but you can find this brand new for $50. Now this rod just came out literally about a week ago. Now I did preview this rod in a couple of videos, and basically I've been waiting for this rod to come out for months, and now that I have it, let me let you know what I think of it. Now, as you can see, it's also got a Fuji ECS type reel seat, and it feels pretty light in hand and feels pretty balanced. Now the big question is, what reel did Shimano expect us to pair with this? Because the ALDEBARAN 30, the most likely candidate, is a $420 reel, and Shimano doesn't have any kind of spin cast reels that I know of. So I'm curious as to what reel Shimano wanted us to put with this Sensilite. So maybe they're coming out with a new reel this year, so let's cross our fingers. So the reason I bought this Sensilite, first of all, of course, because it's super affordable, and I brought out 3 other rods to help illustrate the point. Now the first rod is the first ever bait finesse rod I ever purchased. This is the original Poison Adrena. It's a 6'10", light, and it's really stiff. It's got a lure rating of 1/8 of an ounce to about a little bit over ½ an ounce. And when I bought this rod, I thought I was going to be able to just take these, ultralight baits and sling them, a mile. But that wasn't the case, because this rod is just a little too stiff, a little too fast, and a little too crisp to be able to really bomb out lightweight lures like I wanted to. Now this is a great bottom contact finesse jig, Ned rig, any kind of small soft plastic. But as far as what I was buying a long bait finesse rod for, this didn't fit the bill. So then I bought this rod, the Major Craft Valky 6'9" ultralight with a lure rating of 1/32 of an ounce to 1/4 of an ounce. Now this thing, it's got a moderate taper, so it really loads up even the lightest lures out there and casts them a long way. Now unfortunately this is discontinued, or I'd have probably a couple of other models of this. But yeah, this has been my favorite bait finesse rod up until now. But I wanted a little bit more length to get a little bit more distance, because I don't know if you've seen some of my trout fishing videos. I fish this big river where I have to get these lures way out there as far as possible. Now, while this did an excellent job, I wanted something that was a little bit longer. So now we have this piece of shit right here, the Ugly Stick Elite from Shakespeare. And this is also a 7-foot ultralight rating, 1/32 to 1/4 ounce. But I'm not sure, you know, if those lure ratings are correct. Now, holding these two in hand, now these are direct competitors, you know, only $10 separate them. Now the Ugly Stick is a 2-piece, and as you can see, it just bends on its own. It's a noodle. Look at this. Now, while the Sensilite is much crisper, a much faster, more precise action. So this new Sensilite may put this Ugly Stick Elite Ultralight out of business. So now that we've gone over the specs, how does this thing perform? Now, will this thing actually load up and be able to cast a 1/16 ounce lure? Let's find out. Okay guys, so we're out here testing out Shimano's new Sensilite bait casting rod, which is what I consider their unofficial bait finesse rod for the American market. And I have it paired up with the DAIWA Alphas Air with 4-pound mono. Now, the review and videos for the Alphas Air will be coming up pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. And basically what I'm doing today is I'm going to be testing the lure castability range of this Sensilite, since Shimano has it rated to a 1/16 of an ounce to a 1/4 ounce. And I've selected out several little lures here that range all the way from about 1/8 of an ounce to a 1/16 of an ounce to see how well this rod will handle that lure weight. So let's see what happens. Now, the first lure I'm going to throw is this Kitech Swing Impact Fat, which I weighted on the scale. I think it weighs right around 3/16 of an ounce, or 5 grams, which I'll show you guys a picture of. But let's see how well this rod, it should throw this weight pretty good. Now, it's kind of awkward casting a lefty reel, but hopefully you guys can see where this thing's going to land. Now, I'm not really going to test the castability of the DAIWA Alphas. That's going to be later, but this is mainly for the Sensilite rod. Okay, that's probably went a good 30 yards, I'd say. Wow, this is so awkward reeling this in with my left hand. Okay, that went pretty good. Now the rod is loading up this weight with no problem, which should be as expected because it's in the middle to upper weight range of the Sensilite. Let me see if I can back this brake down one more time. Hopefully you guys can see where this is landing. Okay, yeah, that went out pretty good, probably close to 100 foot. Man, I want to see how you guys can do this with your left hand. Okay, so 5 grams or 3/16 of an ounce is no issue for this rod, as to be expected. Hopefully you guys can see where that thing is landing. Okay, let me reel this in and we're going to try a lighter lure. something under 1/8 or around 1/8. Okay guys, so the next lure is this Rapala Ultralight Minnow, and I weighed it on the scale. It weighs right under 1/8 of an ounce, 3.2 grams I believe. So this will be a good test for this rod. I'm going to turn these brakes up because this lure is a lot lighter, and if I need to, I'll back them down. Okay, that probably went a good at least 70 foot. Gonna have to wait for this wind to die down. Okay, so it loads up this 1/8 ounce or slightly under 1/8 ounce lure and casts it very, very well. I don't know if you can see it's a slight bend in the rod with this weight, but let's try again. I'm going to back these brakes down. One more click. Now I should have brought a right-handed reel with me. That would have been a far better way to test this rod, but oh well, you live and you learn. So I'm going to back these brakes down one more time. Okay, that's going out a long way. So it definitely can handle 1/8 of an ounce and a little less with no problems. Can definitely do that. Okay, a couple more casts. Hopefully you guys can see where this is landing. I'm going to cast that way. The water's a little darker there. Yeah, that's going a good, I would say, a good at least 70 feet. Okay, let's cast one more time. This Alphas is impressing me as well. All right, so it's definitely good at what I bought it for, and I bought this rod, as I said before, for long casting light lures, and it's going to be mostly targeting trout. And that's why I like the 7-foot length on this. You don't find too many long bait finesse rods. Okay, one more cast. Here we go. Yeah, that's launching that lure a good probably 80 feet or close to 100 feet. So press with both the rod and the reel. Unfortunately, this reel is going to my cousin. Okay, let's try an even lighter lure. Alright guys, so up next is this lure that I've weighed at 1.7 grams. So that's right at a 1/16 of an ounce. And that's the lower limit of this rod. So we're going to see if this thing can really load up and cast a true 1/16 ounce lure. Now I'm going to have to turn these brakes up. So I don't backlash. Let's see what happens. Okay. That was pretty bad. Okay, got my release point down. So that went probably a good, I don't know, almost 10 yards. I'm going to turn these brakes down a little, see if we can get more distance. All right, so that went a good probably 10-15 yards. Hopefully you guys can see the splash where that's landing. I'm going to cast over this way where the water is a little darker so you can see better. Okay, so it's actually casting this 16th ounce lure pretty good. Of course, the DAIWA Alpha's air is really helping out. But yeah, I mean, the tip on this is pretty soft. It's not really bending. Yeah, it is kind of bending the rod. So a 16th ounce is very doable on this Sensilite rod. Let's go this way. Now, of course, the 16th ounce lure is not going to travel very far, so you're not going to be throwing this thing, you know, 50 yards. But it is definitely a fishable distance. Okay, I'm going to try to back these brakes down, see how far we can get this little lure. Okay. Wow, okay, I'm impressed. So usually rods will kind of struggle. Most rods will struggle with the lower end of their weight range. And once you get your casting stroke down, this Sensilite rod will handle this 1/16 ounce very, very easily. I'm gonna back the brakes down again. And this Alpha's is really starting to impress me. Okay. Let's cast into that dark area so you can see where it lands. Oh crap, there's fish in here. What kind of fish are those? Okay, one more time. Okay, that's probably going a good at least 50, maybe 60 feet. So my cousin is getting a badass little reel. And this rod is handling that quite easily. I'm impressed. Okay guys, so here is a tiny 2-inch Keitech Easy Shiner with, I believe, what is a either 16th ounce or maybe even 32nd ounce jig head, but I believe the whole lure weighs about 1/16 of an ounce. So let's see how it handles a soft bait that weighs 1/16 of an ounce. Okay, there's some fish out there. I didn't think there were fish in here. Okay, so my accuracy was kind of off, but I could definitely reach where that fish was boiling. There's a wind coming in. Okay, wow. Yeah, it handles this thing with no problem. Okay, so this Sensilite is damn impressive. And like I said, I only got it for $50. You can buy like 4 or 5 of these for the price of the average JDM bait finesse rod. And it'll perform just as good. This is ridiculous. Hope you guys can see where this is landing. gonna cast over that way. Oh shoot. Wow, this thing is both this rod and this reel are super impressive. Okay, the wind took that, but wow. So if you're fishing like a pretty decent sized creek or smaller river, this thing would definitely fit the bill for throwing these light lures. I keep having to remind myself to palm this reel. Okay, one more cast. The wind is kind of coming in, so it's going to take this cast away, but let's see. Hopefully you guys can see where this lands. Wow. All right, I might have to buy several of these rods just for backup since they're so affordable. Okay guys, so the last lure we're going to test out here in the field is going to be the Johnson Beetleboo Marabou jig, which they claim is 1/16 of an ounce, and this is a crappie lure, so I figured it'd be fitting to throw a crappie lure with a rod that was intended for fishing crappie. So here it is, and this feels pretty light, guys. I don't know how else it's going to do, but let's find out. So I'm going to turn these brakes up just to be on the safe side. Yeah, I'm turning them up. Okay, so that kind of didn't go that far. And this is pretty light. It's barely loading the rod up, but let's see. Gonna turn the brakes down. That's gotten wet, so add some weight. Let's see how well it does. Okay, so that went probably a good 40 feet. I'm gonna cast that way because the sun is really bright today and reflecting off that water. Turning the brakes down, let's see what happens. Wow. Okay, so that jig, of course, gained some weight because it was wet, but that thing rocketed out there probably a good 50 feet at least, and there was definitely more distance to be had. Okay, let's try again. Whoa. Okay. So I'm gonna say it's both a combination of this rod and this reel. So it can definitely handle a crappie lure with no problem, guys. Okay, one more cast. Oh crap. Oh, of course I snagged salad. already. Oh, fucking stick. I swear this stick was fighting back. So I guess you can tell by now that I'm very impressed with this Sensilite bait casting rod. It does everything that it was advertised to do, and it even handles lures down to its minimum lure rating, which some rods do not. That Poison Adrena comes to mind right there. And of course, the best part about this rod is that you can get it for only $50. So you can literally buy 2 or 3 or 4 for the cost of one JDM Shimano Bait Finesse rod. Now, I'm trying to think of some complaints that I have about it. None really come to mind. The handle here is a little short, but I really couldn't tell, or I didn't notice when casting out on the water. I kind of don't like all these exposed threads. They could have shortened that up. But other than that, the only thing I can think of is that Shimano needs to come out with some shorter lengths, maybe like a 6.5 foot or 6 foot, for those of us who like to creek fish, because the 7 foot long is going to be a problem in tight quarters. But if you remember, a couple of weeks ago I released a video where I compiled a list of all the most affordable bait finesse rods, including some from America. So I put this rod at the top of the list of pretty much almost all of those rods. The only shortfall, of course, is that if you need a shorter length rod for tight quarters casting and pitching, then this is a little too long. But yeah, if you were looking for a bait finesse rod that's got Shimano's quality and reputation and of course warranty, then look no further than the Sensilite. And for $50, you really can't go wrong. Alright guys, thanks a lot.